Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how you can make a water shader as well as use it in your UPGE projects. And I'm sure you would want to create your own textures for this, so I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm just going to add a plane, add an ocean modifier to the plane, and mess around with the alignment. And I'm just going to tinker with the settings. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and, I don't think you have to apply it, but I'm gonna go ahead and apply it. Okay, so now we're going to bake this texture. And oops. I'm gonna go ahead and get a plane and scale this to 25. And go into shader editor. And we're going to add an image node and then create a new image or a new texture and call it whatever you like. I want to keep it at 1024 and okay. Make sure this texture node is selected. And let me go ahead and go to the UV editor to see what's going on. Let's go over to the render tab and change this from Eevee to cycles and CPU to GPU. Go down to bake and change this to normal. And I'm just going to go ahead and select this and change the extrusion to at least 1. Let me change this to 1. Okay. Be sure to have the higher res plane selected and control and select the low res plane. And it should be ready to bake. Okay, it just finished baking. And we're going to want this to be seamless, so I'm going to hop into GIMP. Okay, once you're in GIMP, we're going to go to the filter, map, and tile seamless. I'm going to go over here just to make it more optimal for the game. Let's change this to indexed. Select the this option and enable dithering of text layers. Okay, now we should be able to save it or export it. And we can just overwrite the one that we created. And as you can see, the bit depth is 8. So that's pretty good. Okay, so I'm just going to delete all of this stuff and add another plane and add the image or the texture that we just created. And as you can see, it's already set as non-color. So let me go and change this to the Eevee renderer and add some light. Just going to add Suzanne. All right, so let's go ahead and add a normal node. And as you can see, it looks like water. And we're going to add a texture coordinate as well as a mapping node. And go ahead and take the scale and connect it to UV. All right, so we're going to want two of these textures, so we can give the illusion that the water is moving. So let's add a mix shader or a mix color and change this to overlay, I believe. And connect it to B. And we're going to copy the mapping node. And as you can see, we have our two textures here. And they look the same. So now we can start animating the texture to give the illusion that it's moving. Also, we can add color. To make it look more like water. And let's change the roughness just a bit. And turn on screen space reflections. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. And yeah, let's start animating. So let's go over to the timeline. And I'm gonna set the endpoint as 400. Or maybe 200, let's see. We'll see how it looks. Gonna go back to shader editor. And so we want it to move this way to move this on the positive axis, and this down here to move on the negative axis. So we're gonna click I, and this is going to add a keyframe. So let's go to shader editor, and yeah, I should have added a. Let me see. Oh, okay. Okay, so now we're going to drag this timeline to 200, which is the end frame, and go back to shader editor and change this to 1 on the y-axis and I. Okay, so you have to have the node selected to be able to see the keyframes. And as you can see, it's moving this way. But we want this to be, we don't want it to just play and stop near the end, like slow down and stop. So select all the keyframes, right click, and select in the interpolation mode, select linear, I believe. So it shouldn't slow down near the end. And so we're going to do the same thing for the second texture, as we've done with this one, except we're going to say -1 instead of just 1. So we're going to select this node, go back to frame 1, and on the y-axis we're going to say I, which is going to add a keyframe, and then go to 200, which is the end frame, and do -1 and I to add a keyframe. Now, as you can see, these are going in opposite directions. Both the textures are going in opposite directions. And if we turn this factor, or we could do mix, and we turn this factor all the way up, we can see the second texture and see the way it animates. So it's going this way. And if we turn the factor all the way to 0, this is the first texture, and if it animates the opposite direction. So that's cool and everything, but it's gonna look weird. And what I mean by that is, watch this. So it looks good and everything. Everything looks pretty good. But as you can see, it kind of stops a little bit, and that's because it's too perfect. It's basically the same, in the same position as this texture once it reaches the last keyframe. So let's slightly change the position of the second texture. So we're going to want to change on the second texture, so let's go ahead and do that. So let's move on the x-axis, let's move it just a little bit, slightly, and just apply a keyframe again, and then go to the end and apply another keyframe. Okay, it should. Okay, yeah. And make sure this x-axis is, apply a keyframe. Yeah, make sure the x-axis is the same as this one, this x-axis. Alright, so let's play it. And as you can see, it looks pretty good. There's no noticeable stops within the animated texture. Okay, so how do we apply this to our game? Like, how can we have this in the game? So I'll show you how to do that. We're going to go to the Logic Bricks editor, add an always sensor, and an action actuator, and connect it to the always. Let me make sure I'm on the right object. Okay, always, action, and connect. We're going to just select the shader node tree action, and make sure the frames are the exact frames that we did. So 1 is going to start at 1 and then end at 200. And if we press P, it should play the animation. And as you can see, it works. If you want it to loop, if you want the animation to loop, just change this from play to loop end. Now let's see what it looks like. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and it helped you out, and if it did, that's awesome. So yeah,